I'm going to hand over now to Denise, who is one of our Queen's Award winners, and she's going to talk to us a bit about her experience as a winner.
Hi, thanks, Chloe. It's actually very nice to see you because I've spoken to you on the phone and I've sent you numerous amount of emails, so it's nice to be able to put a face to it. I would reiterate some of what's already been said. You need every single bit of time that you have. It is quite a long process. You do need to take it in small bites. You need time to go away and think about it. But it does offer you time to reflect. When we entered, it was more in hope than expectation. But the process itself, I felt, would be worthwhile, irrespective of whether we got the award. The award would be nice, sort of kind of cherry on the cake, but the process itself would help us to look back. We are a project-based business, so we're doing different things year on year. We don't have the same customers. We deal in a lot of different countries. We already hold a lot of accreditations. We have to have the ISO, we have to have approvals from Russia and Canada and Brazil and all these various places to actually trade there. So I was able to do kind of a Blue Peter thing on some of these. Here's bits I did earlier. So I was able to look at material we'd already got. We involved as many people as possible. You do need a good script writer, though. I must admit, my skills are not brilliant in that respect, and I did have an absolutely superb PA who was able to go through, correct all my spelling, make the grammar right, make it read right, tell me when I've waffled too much, and involve things in there. We had, what led to those 3 years of growth, we managed to put over £1 million year on year over a 3-year period, was what happened not in those 3 years, but in the previous 5 years. So for me, the first process was looking back and remembering, oh, okay, I kind of forgot we did this and I forgot we did that. So just to prove that I am completely untech, and unlike Chloe, I'm not going to share the screen because I haven't got a clue how to do it. My slides are on paper. So the very first part of the process is navel gazing. You have to have a look at what you've done and where you've come from. Have a look back and recognize what you've done. And I hadn't realized, because we're always problem solving the current problem, actually, we're pretty good. We've done an awful lot. We couldn't get the skills we needed locally, so we started an apprenticeship and we started training and paying for training of our own mechanical engineers because we couldn't find people in the local area with the process. We've even done accountancy when I needed somebody to come in and boost up the finance department. Paying for somebody to come in and do a degree actually on the job has worked well for us. We got a really good person for the 4 or 5 years of the training. When we needed to look at diversifying our product, which predominantly in 2009 was oil and gas, which was far too volatile, becoming less politically acceptable, we had to start looking into other areas for the longevity. We thought about going into other areas, and the guys on the shop floor actually designed and developed a lot of the equipment that we need to do that. They built a bunker so we could do high pressure testing. They built cryo tanks and everything else. It's kind of like, it takes a village to raise a baby. Well, it takes an entire company to be successful. So going through this process allowed me to remember, although we've still got masses and masses of problems ahead, 2020 was really bad for us, and to a certain extent we've got to start climbing some of the mountains that we'd already climbed. We can do it. So it was a really useful, the process itself was really quite useful. And in the past, you paid consultants to come in and do these studies for you. Well, the Queen's Award kind of helps you to do that process yourself. You become your own consultant. You see where you've been successful. You see where you've made changes. And this is another one of my wonderful slides. All the different faces of change, they're terrible. You know, nobody wants it. I had most of the guys on the shop floor, well, I'll do it because you tell me, but it'll never work. It'll never work. And it's how you overcome those changes to start making the workplace a bit more fun. We entered the Sudbrook raft race. We had the most over-engineered raft on the entire race, but everybody took part in it. There's only 5 girls here and we've got 40 odd men, so we got the leftover reject raft and we actually beat them on the day because their over-engineered raft sunk pretty close to the beginning of it. But it helped build up a sense of team, and I'd forgotten all those things until I started going through this process and still I started putting it in. We had our valves in the first all-electric fire engine. That happened before this period. We had valves on test in Netherlands, I think it was, in a plastic recycling plant. Now that was an unsuccessful test, but still it was a lot of we learned a lot from doing it. We're in the process of developing valves now that can be used in food. We're going through quite an onerous test process. Obviously, you don't want to poison people. And they're a bit picky about how you have to sort of ensure that that doesn't happen. And we've had a massive over $1.5 million project putting solar panels into a big field in the back of nowhere in Spain. So all these things get forgotten because you're sorting today's problem. And one of my today's problem was we've got boats stuck in the Suez Canal and we can't get through because they're letting the sheep go through before us because they've got nowhere else to put the sheep poo. And they're the things that you're sort of looking at on a daily basis, and you don't get time to reflect. I also spared no expense on my staff. I spent £2.65 and bought them all a little badge that they can all now privately wear, and it says Queen's Award winner. And I was amazed how impressed all these guys were, and they're actually wearing all their badges in work at the moment. So although we didn't get local recognition, I wanted to give them something. They told me that I have to provide them with a barbecue as soon as we're able to in the summer. But by reintroducing our own training, our own apprenticeship, by putting people through degree courses, all this led towards our success. And until I was asked the questions in the Queen's Award, until I had to look at some of these questions and think, oh my God, you know, we haven't done anything like that. What can we put? And it was just amazing. All of a sudden, there were lots of things that we'd done. It does take loads of time. It's not for the faint-hearted. We didn't send ours in until 10 o'clock on the day, 10 o'clock in the evening on the day it was due in. We did have slight problems because this really emphasises how few Welsh were in there. Gwent wasn't on the drop-down box to select for a county, so I think I ended up putting Dyfed in or something just so the application could go through. And I sent off frantic emails then to Chloe saying, we're not really in Dyfed, but I couldn't find the right one and it wouldn't let me send it. So it can be a really, really good thing. You can save yourself a fortune on consultants by doing your own consultancy. I was absolutely over the moon. The very worst, most horrible part of the whole process is they tell you in March you've won and you're not allowed to tell anybody until April, and that really tested my patience, having to go around saying, smiling like crazy, really, really happy, wanting to sort of shout it from the rooftops and not being able to. So that for me was the biggest downside. So even if you don't think you're eligible, even if you don't think you're going to get it, it would still be a really worthwhile exercise for you to go through, because it is really, really thought-provoking. And we put in, and see, you're going to get really impressed with all my wonderful slides, all our mistakes. When you get things wrong, things happen, they go wrong. And it's kind of okay to ask for help. You know, you can sort of pull each other up, and it helps you remember all those things. So I would say, go for it, have a go. I'm more than happy to help people. I'm not going to be as helpful as Chloe or any of the others, but involve your staff, have a go at doing it. And the very worst thing that can happen is you don't get the award, but you get a better understanding of when you did get it right, how you got it right, and it makes you recognize your successes and not just running around doing your failures.